All right. 3, 2, 1. How we doing, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to another episode of Brock's Conversations for the End of the World. Right now, I have the head of sales for LinclonBlock. Andrew, I believe it was. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, how are y'all doing, Andrew? I heard y'all pretty big over there on TikTok with LinclonBlock. Go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, the channel, and what y'all are trying to do with the company.
Okay, well, my name's Andrew Grimes. I'm the head of sales for LinclonBlock. Right now, our main objective is to kind of just introduce our product to the public. We've done a lot of development with, just our game plan, how we want to attack everything, and, proving our product to the world. We've done a lot of experiments with, different customers and stuff, building different structures. Our main objective is really to, give people the opportunity to, have a type of housing that they can, acquire at an affordable price, but also get something that's very high quality and sustainable that they can pass down through generations.
All right, that's fantastic. Go ahead and tell everybody how does LinclonBlock work? Like, what are they?
So the simplest way to put it is it's like a wooden brick. Okay, so if anybody that's a brick mason done any type of work with brick style building, it's very similar to that. And then for people that are unfamiliar with that system, we like to compare it to Legos. Okay, so basically what you have is your wooden block. When we assemble it, you'll do your foundation, and it's attachable to many different types of foundation. We've done post pier, we've done stem wall, we've even done slab on grade. So one of our biggest things is making sure that our product can be attachable to modern construction. With that, once you get your foundation done, it's pretty simple. You're going to define a few areas in your structure, such as corners and windows and doors, with spline that actually goes inside the wall, and it's milled to a special width of 3 1/8 inches, so it fits in between the block because it's a hollow wall system. And from there, it's very simple. You're literally just using basically an adhesive caulking, to put in your grooves and on the inside of your tongue to make sure you get a nice seal and some good adhesion. Then you're just stacking and nailing. And it's really that simple, When it comes down to details within the structure, we always have, some type of consulting and special instructions to help people with that. But, the gist of the building system itself is to simplify, the construction of any type of structure that you're wanting to get into.
Okay, so it's pretty much like a tongue and groove Lego system made out of 2x4 and 2x4 cuttings to put them together to make a hollow wall system and just make a house out of that.
Yeah, pretty much. So we actually have 2 different rough dimensional lumber, sizes that we work with. For the side of the block, we're milling down a 2x6 to our special tongue and groove pattern. And then for the blocks that go in between, which we call risers or spline, that's going to be a 2x4 milled down to a square edge 3 1/8. That's going to be what's, we made it so the spline rises above the side of the block a little bit. So kind of like a Lego, how you have the little buttons that come up to catch the next thing. Well, it's very similar to that. It also helps with the stability of the wall. You're not going to get any rock or anything like that when you place the next block. And, surprisingly enough, when you're actually working with this stuff and you're not using any nails or glue, sometimes it can actually be pretty hard to get apart just because, it's very well fitting. So, it's something that we've done experiments where we've put, a test wall together to do some durability tests. And one of them, I actually took a sledgehammer to it, and we didn't use any glue, any nails, and it still stood that test. So, it's the system is a lot stronger than your conventional stick frame construction. So we've been trying to really get that out to the public. We've had multiple engineers look at our product. We had a math professor come in and calculate a bunch of numbers, and we got some pretty surprising results. So we're really excited about it.
So how thick end-to-end wall-wise, like thickness of the wall, is it? Because 2x4s and 2x6, that seems pretty thick.
Yeah, so you're talking about a 6-inch wall. The block itself is 6 inches. As I said before, the cavity is about 3 1/8 because you're separating the two side pieces with that spline. So yeah, it's pretty thick, man, and it's really durable. We've done multiple tests. We've done fire tests. We've actually even shot guns at it. Um, so it was a fun experiment, man. Trust me. We shot a couple different calibers at it. We shot a 22, we shot a 9 mm, we shot a 9 mm hollow point, and then we even did a couple shotgun shells. So out of those bullets, the 22, it didn't go through at all. Pretty small caliber, so you could kind of expect that with that thickness of wood. And also inside the wood, you're doing a polyurethane expanding spray foam, so that also adds to the structure of the strength in the wall. And basically everything else went through it except one. We did shoot this one hollow point 9 that got stuck in the wall, and we were very, very surprised with that.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're not 100% bulletproof, but if you get lucky, you hit a spline or someone shooting from far enough away, it might stop a bullet. So that's pretty cool for us.
I mean, it's definitely you've definitely got better chances, especially with the today's conventional plywood on the outside with a plastic shingling system, and then the inside is like drywall and plaster. So, I mean,
Yep.
yeah, it's not like you're living.
Fiberglass installation too. It's not like that foam, that closed cell foam. It's tough, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with you were talking about earlier. Lost my train of thought. I believe it was with the. No, I can't remember. Darn. But anyway, as far as the LinclonBlock system goes, where are y'all located? Like, how did this all come to be? How did you get up into? How did you find yourself working for the company?
Well, so we're located about 45 minutes north of Seattle in a little town called Lake Stevens. My personal story on getting into the company is pretty interesting. I came out of college. I played D1 football over at Idaho State for about a year. Decided it wasn't really the path that I wanted to go down. So I came out of that and I really started focusing on things in the real estate realm, got myself, up to speed there. I had a plan personally of, going into real estate as an agent for about 2 years or so. And then I was going to go straight into investing. Well, when I was, probably about, I would say 5 days out from taking my course for my real estate state license, I ran into the inventor of the product, okay, at my friend's beer store, and he was kind of headhunting because he's just looking for people to help him bring this along. He's been bootstrapping this thing for a pretty long time, so he's just looking for to expand his network. And I was kind of doing the same, being in the real estate game. Everyone you can meet that's kind of on the same level as you when it comes to what you're trying to do in business is always a good contact to have. So I looked into the product and I saw the little amount of exposure that it really had. They had maybe 27 followers on Instagram and face or YouTube. They're maybe up to like 30 subscribers. And I went through the website and I was blown away. I was like, how is nobody looking at this right now? So I went and yeah, you know what I mean? So I went and I had basically a talk with John, the inventor. And he kind of just gave me the tour, showed me around, and I was like, I'm really interested in this, man. What can I do to get involved with this? Because this is something that really I believe could change the world. So he just said, I honestly don't have any specific position. I'm looking for people in real estate, so if you can make some ends meet there, that would be great. But whatever you can do to fit in, you go ahead and do that. And I just kept showing up, every day. I was just driven by the passion of the potential of this product. So I kept showing up. John got to know me, a lot of trust was gained, and so he put me in charge of a lot of the sales. I do purchasing with some of our other distributors and stuff like that. And then I also work on content creation. And being a small company, you find yourself in all these positions, but I think that it's a really good thing just because I've been learning a lot in the past 3 years. I've been involved with the company. Even when it comes to manufacturing, I've been, pretty much the main guy for that. and just these little things, learning everything about wood and learning everything about, how structures are going together has been really cool for me.
Okay. And John is the inventor's name, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, what is his experience? What was his was he like a engineer, architect? Did he work building houses? How did he come about building and creating Lincoln Blocks?
So John has been in the building industry for pretty much his whole life. His dad was a big concrete guy, did skyrise and stuff over in New Jersey. He came out to the Pacific Northwest, kind of just wanting to get a new start outside of the city. There's a lot more freedom when you come out to areas like the Pacific Northwest, especially back when he did, which was, I believe, in the 70s, sometime in the 70s. He came right after he graduated high school. He went on a road trip with his brother and came out here. And, once he got here, he started doing various things, started off, cutting firewood, working in the forest, doing stuff like that, then moved to, different mills and various other opportunities with wood. And then, he kind of started his own building thing on the side. He's been contracting for over 35 years. He's owned two of his own specialty lumber mills, specializing primarily in cedar. So this guy is very versed and knowledgeable when it comes to wood and how structures get built. For example, at one point, he was even the consultant for the Snohomish County building department, which encompasses, Lake Stevens, Everett, and a couple other towns in our area.
Wow. So with even all that exposure, they still wasn't able to get any kind of more footing than they had when you first met them?
Well, so basically, when John invented the product, he was retired. He had gotten out of the industry. He sold his lumber yard, I believe his second one, in the late 90s, I believe 1997 or 98. And
Okay.
he was doing little things here and there with contracting. People knew he had a very good name in the business, so people knew if they needed something built or they needed brokering services for lumber, that they could contact him. And the way the idea came about is he was actually working on building a property for himself over in Eastern Washington, and him being, a little bit older in age, working his whole life, getting injured here and there. He wanted to figure out a way to build his house by himself and do it easy. So he was out fishing one day, and this idea came to his mind on how he could, make a wooden brick. And he couldn't get it out of his mind. He was like, man, this idea really could be something. So he sketched it down really quick. And he had to have a meeting with his family to let him know that if we get back in this industry, it's going to be a fight, because a lot of people don't understand that the market that we're trying to enter, and it's not just in housing, but in lumber material distribution, it's not something that's really easy to get into. It takes millions of dollars to get into. So he kind of was developing the product step by step, taking it nice and slow, just kind of playing with it for the first, I would say, 3 years. And this was before I was involved in the company. And then he took some time off because he had some family issues that he had to deal with. So he took about, 4 years off in the middle. And then the next 3 years, so since I got involved with the company, is really when he started to push. And this is because he acquired his trademark for the name, the original Lincoln Block. He got both of his patents. So he decided, this is the time to really push it out to the public. And I think that's why he found me, is because he really started hunting for people that, would put the same passion he had for the product behind it. So, and then to add on top of that, he operated a little bit further in the past than we are now. So, a lot of contacts that he has are either retired out of the business or just, not really interested in taking on a project this big, because they know what it entails. They know it's it's no little feat. So, it slowed us down a little bit, but really bringing this out to the public has really helped us. I don't know if we mentioned earlier, but, we started our TikTok maybe 2 months ago, and that blew up for us. It's got about 82,000 followers. So, we saw the power of just bringing it to the people. And, that's why we're kind of coming out and getting on all these podcasts and, letting people know that we're here.
Wow, that's fantastic. So y'all have patents. You said 2 patents. Was that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's actually kind of now I'm not an expert on patents. I barely like I know what the word means, but I don't really know what it quite entails. But not to like undercut what a Lincoln block is, but it is essentially a 2x6, two 2x6s screwed together into a 2x4 or a 2x3/8 or whatever the dimension is. Is that's actually patentable, right?
Yes, so it is. And the reason that it is because of the fact that it is a block and we're using that as a building system. So he has his design patent on the block, and then I believe the patent on the system itself. So it's not like, you're stick framing up your 2x4s and then using tongue and groove on the outside or even both sides. It's actually a block manufactured before you even start building, and then it goes into that. So that's a really common misconception. A lot of people go, well, couldn't you just stick frame this up and then just go on the inside and the outside with tongue and groove, and it's a little bit different because one of our biggest things is we're building finished wall as you stack. Everything that you're doing with the wall comes along with it. If you're going to do any wiring in your exterior wall, it goes along with the wall. So once your shell is up, then it's done. You don't have to have any siding or anything like that. We do recommend you put a stain on it, and we actually have a distributorship with our good partner Wood Defender, and we love their stains. So it just really simplifies the building process, and that's the whole idea of it, to make it so it's not something too overwhelming for people to get into. So that's the reason why it's patentable, is just because it's the block itself.
Wow. So see, on these in like Shark Tanks and all these investment shows, they really ask for they're like, everybody comes up there wanting millions of dollars, and then they're like, we're patent pending, and they're like, ooh. But to hear that it's actually patentable, and I actually, now that you've explained it, I see how it is patentable, because my whole thing at the beginning, like thinking about it, I'm like, this is a great idea, but it's so great of an idea, the only hurdle would be to get a tongue and groove miller. So what would be stopping someone from doing that? But seeing as that it's actually patented, that would definitely stifle any and all competition. And if a person's going to build a house, they're not going to buy their own miller. So that's actually you're already ahead of the game as far as investments. It's or prerequisites for major investments. Have y'all thought about going on any kind of a Shark Tank or something?
So for sure. We're very close to, we have a Kickstarter live right now. And we were very close to doing Start Engine, which is, I believe, Kevin O'Leary's platform that he kind of created, one of the sharks on Shark Tank. The problem is with investors is, like I said before, this is not an easy market to get into. It's kind of a high risk situation, especially when you're presenting something that would very much change how we build stuff today and really have an impact on the industry. A lot of people run from that, because when you're getting into that kind of thing, what happens is you have people that are already in the industry that don't want it to change, because that's how they make their money. So when you come to them with an idea talking about, hey, this is going to completely change the market. Am I still with you? I don't know if we froze a little bit. I just want to make sure I got you still. Yeah, you're still a little. Okay, I think I got you back.
Yeah, okay. No, I got you back.
Did you get everything I said, or did I cut out at all?
I lost you right about. I kind of lost you there. So go ahead and re-explain the investor side again.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So basically, we're entering a market, like I said before, that's not very easy to enter. So, and also we're presenting a product that is very much, I guess you could use the term revolutionary, because we really would be changing the way that people build stuff and really trying to put that power back into their hands. So, a lot of people that are already set in the industry don't like that kind of thing, because they're already making their money in there, and they know if you come into the market, you could possibly disrupt how they make their money. So we've run into, a lot of higher dollar investors realize that, they know that, and they know even though we have a great product, there still is a good amount of risk involved in taking on the project. And to add on to that, actually, I would like to say a lot of these bigger investors, they want, a certain amount of control in the company. I've watched Shark Tank a few times, and I've seen, people definitely get investors or other sharks to, invest at a lower control rate, maybe 20-30%. But, for us, our personal experience, a lot of the people that want to do business with us want to have, a majority controlling share in the company. And, John, he's very well versed in business. He really doesn't need anything but the finances to push this thing through. He doesn't need an investor's advice. Not that he would turn it down, but it's not like we wouldn't survive without that. So, he's hesitant to give up, too much of the company. We want to make sure at the end of the day that we're calling the shots. So, but we're still very open to investors. There's not, we're open to any type of meeting with an investor. If they want to, shoot an offer, try to organize something, there's never been a problem with that. It's just finding the correct deal.
Absolutely. So, and I remember the question I was going to ask before. You were talking about the LinclonBlock's durability and how y'all didn't even use tack or nails to hit it. That could easily be attributed to how you have it in a dry storage, and once you put it outside, it swells up and tightens up. Now, in your testing, has anything like that, any high moisture environments, has that led to any kind of the wood busting and buckling?
No, actually, we have. So the biggest key in that kind of problem is making sure that you design your house to not create those kind of problems. So whatever your blueprint is, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, we always recommend that you increase or use a good size eave on your building. You know what I mean, and just make sure that you're protecting your wood with stains and doing the correct maintenance. Making sure that your gutters aren't super full. I mean, but these are things that are going to cause problem in any type of house. Especially nowadays where your primary building product for your sheathing is OSB, which is just basically shredded wood glued together. So when it comes to that, the wood itself is going to last a very long time as long as you maintain it properly. We had and we did a video on TikTok about this a couple weeks ago. We had a piece of LinclonBlock that was sitting untreated out in our yard in a puddle for about 9 years, and it still snapped together with brand new LinclonBlock just fine.
Wow, 9 years.
Yeah.
That's actually very impressive. I also saw the fire test where y'all put that blowtorch up to it. And since it is a solid piece of wood, your conventional house fires really wouldn't. It doesn't look like it really kind of catches the same as normal sheetrock or wallpaper or OSB or anything like that.
Exactly, and the reason for that is because with that polyurethane spray foam, you're eliminating any air within the wall, and if there's no oxygen to feed the fire, you're not going to get anywhere with it. So we did a couple different tests. Our first one, we used your pretty standard propane just torch. We put it against the wood for 90 minutes, and we didn't even burn all the way through, which was really cool. And then we got some requests to do something that was a little bit more of a common fire. So I'm sure you may have seen it. We just put basically built a box of cedar, put some more cedar in it, put a little bit of paper and garbage on top of it to kind of, simulate, maybe a waste basket or something like that going on fire. And we let that one burn for 30 minutes. Oh, and I should also add, we poured mineral spirits all over that thing just to kind of fuel the flame and see how much damage it could really do. And that one, the fire was out in 30 minutes, and you scorched the surface of your wall, but at the end of the day, you still have that structural integrity there.
Yeah, no, of course. And definitely since shiplap and stuff like that is definitely making a comeback. You'll look at Lowe's and you'll see shiplap, your basic 2x4s for $20 a board. Ridiculous. Probably that. I've always been really bad with estimation on prices, but I mean, it's low, so it's not and they know it's as kind of this alternative specialty style, so it's not going to be cheap. Yeah. But even with like, I kind of feel like, because I didn't see it and I was a little disappointed, not really disappointed, but like kind of like, I wish y'all had thought about that. It would have been really cool, in my opinion, if you would have like, because you could easily make Lincoln Block wall, ceiling, and floor. Because like, maybe not floor, but definitely for like the base and the support. And you
For
see
sure.
all these videos on of like during Christmas, they're like, don't forget to water your trees or it's going to burst into flames. And then the house is on fire and burnt down in like 6 seconds after a spark goes off. And I would be interested to see if that would even work with your Lincoln, like a completely dried out tree, just to see what would happen if it just lit on fire and just like, would it burn? Like, would it actually get hot enough to catch that wood, or is it thick enough and fire resistant enough with the foam, just enough to like kind of beat it out? Because that fire is only going to last like what, a minute and a half at full blast.
Exactly, you know, and we, like I said, with that test that we did before, it was a half an hour. The fire completely burnt out before, you know, really any damage was done. And in the wall itself, the only reason it was on fire is because it had that mineral spirit on it, you know. And once we did that experiment, we were like, man, you got plenty of time to go put your fire out. We actually had one guy comment on the TikTok, and he said, man, I could drive to the store, buy a fire extinguisher, and get back and still be in time to put the fire out. Yeah, so. Yeah, we're pretty confident in the fire resistance.
In all honesty, I think that video would be a huge hit. Like, y'all could put up like the news camera, like the newsreel is like, is that this will happen to your house, but Lincoln Block, it's the piece of cake, and just see what happens. I mean, exactly. I think that would be like a really big video. Just, you know, people like Chaos and Fires, and then to just see it like come through, because we're so used to everything else just burning to the ground. Like, I really did. Like, if y'all had to like set up maybe like a couch or something from a thrift store or like a dump or something, make it like look like a house, and then just light it on fire and see what happens.
Oh, for sure, man. And that's all future plans. Like, you know, right now we like to call what we do like a guerrilla, you know, testing, just because we're just trying to, you know, we've been bootstrapping this company. So, you know, there's no need to, you know, create a whole display and burn all our wood down. Not that it's going to burn, but you know what I mean? Like, we don't need to scorch that because, you know, at the time being, all our research development funds, you know, kind of have to stay focused within our company to keep, you know, everything going. But definitely in the future, man, we have plans to do side-by-sides with different products and materials. And honestly, the best thing to do was just to be able to send it to some type of university to do, you know, standardized testing, so they can get the real numbers when it comes to, you know, how our product compares to conventional and other types of building types.
Okay, so you say as far, and I agree, if something is kind of small out Kickstarters, y'all wouldn't want to waste like a whole, like even a 5x5 room. That would be a lot of wood. So as far as cost for construction, what would you say, like your, like let's go like my grandma's old house, something like a 20 long by 10, like let's just do their little starter homesteading house that they had when they originally moved here. How, like a little tiny house, what would that run by? Just a gross guesstimation.
So, you know, I think one of the best examples I can give you, because it's a little bit closer to maybe the size of a house that people would want. And the reason I say this is because, me personally, I think that tiny homes is kind of a symptom of the housing shortage and the overpricing of homes. You know, no one really wants to live in something that's under 400 square feet. People just do it because they know it's doable and it's cheaper. So, you know, it's kind of something that's popped up just because people want to, you know, have somewhere to call home. So the example I'll give you will be from one of the 840 square foot cabins that we built. We did a complete tear down of the pre-existing 1,000 square foot home and then rebuilt that cabin. And it was, like I said, 840 square foot. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but when we were at the end of that job and, you know, the final check came in that we had to charge the lady, we were only at, you know, right around $75,000. So, you know, it's very cheap. And the reason being is because, well, there's a few reasons. So for one, like I said before, it's a lot simpler than your conventional, stick framing. A lot of people will go out there and say, "Hey, I could stick frame that, or do this and that." But the people saying that are people that have been in the industry as a framer for a while, and they know all the tips and tricks, because a lot of stuff that people wouldn't expect with framing goes into it. A lot of techniques and little tricks you need to know. So, you're using a simpler building system, so that's going to reduce your labor like that. Just off the bat, your labor is going to go down. And from our calculations, you're looking at anywhere from 50 to 80% reduction of that labor cost, depending on how much of the structure you want to build yourself. And then on top of that, the wood that we use is really important because we use basically industrial lumber or utility lumber that would be destined for, pallets or maybe wood chips on a playground, stuff like that, because we can buy it at a very discounted price, send it to our reman mill that's going to cut our pattern, and then when it gets to us, we do our own cut grade line so we can cut out any type of defect. And the key behind that is you're able to make any length, anywhere from 2 feet to 10 feet in your block structure. And that's a big thing, when you're using, standard dimensional lumber, you got to have at least, standard is going to be an 8-foot stud. So, you have to have that length of graded wood to be able to use that. And we're able to use, something that might start as a lower grade, but the end result is even better than, what you're paying for at your standard lumber stores,
So you could theoretically order at size if you wanted, if like I said, if you wanted a 20 long by 10, you could literally have 4 bundles with all the necessary wood cut at the length that you need and just throw it off all at once. Not saying anybody would want to lift a 20-foot board however many times it takes and however high it takes.
So yeah, the only thing is, when it comes to length, you're also, fighting your grade, because it's not only, defect like knots and cracks and things like that, but you also are dealing with, the straightness of the wood. So, you want to make sure you don't have too much bow or anything like that, too much crown, because then your block might not sit right. So usually when we're working with this, we like to max out our length at about 10 feet. We've done a few projects with wood that's longer than that. For example, we're doing a pole barn conversion right now, and the distance between the poles was exactly, or not exactly, but very close to 12 feet. So, we specially manufactured a few, 12-foot lengths for the basically the bolt down the first couple courses, just so you can get that foundation dialed in right. So yeah, the end goal for the future, or I should say one of the goals for the future, is to have a pre-cut system where you can just order a package and every single wood or every single piece of LinclonBlock is designated to a certain length, so you can really, it'd be like a Lego kit. You got all your pieces that are numbered for certain parts, and then you can just go from there.
That's fantastic. So as far as is the thickness of the wood, like your 6-inch wall in total, is that just the number y'all arrived at because it was an easy number to get with the wood that you purchased, or is 6 inches like as thin as you can get while still keeping stability and structure? Because I would imagine building building a tiny house on a trailer, that would be pretty heavy. So would you theoretically be able to go to like 5 or even 4 inches thick for the entire wall, or would that compromise any integrity?
So we actually do have a few prototypes using different sizes, or I should say thicknesses of block. We have right now our 6 inches, our main product, but we also have a prototype of a 3-inch shed block that we have. And the thing with that right now is we're using a shiplap pattern instead of a tongue and groove, just because, we're using basically a 1x6 roughly, with a 2x2 for the spline instead of your 3 1/8. We want to modify it a little bit. We want to go with a tongue and groove pattern, just so when you're tacking your wood together, you're not getting as much movement and it's more locked into that groove. So we have done a few experiments. For example, We just finished a trailer the other day for one of our personal family friends, and we used a 3-inch block on that. But you know, in the future, we not only want to develop a better 3-inch block, but you're also looking at, you know, different areas of building. You know, for example, Alaska got a lot, you know, colder environment and a shorter building season, which, you know, where Lincoln Block makes sense because of the speed. But we are even developing an 8-inch Arctic block, you know, for different types of climates and stuff like that. So that way you have a bigger, you know, a bigger space in between to, you know, insert more insulation or spray in more insulation.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because like even in like Japan, like I've had a lot of friends that talk about like the houses up in Japan, like they are like, and you know, the Japanese are really good at their intricate joints and how their wood locks together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
their hot spring houses are literally like 8 inches thick,
Mm-hmm.
and like you can't tell that there is like a dead person outside because they got lost in a snowstorm. Like
Yeah.
it's warm with barely any kind of fire going. Like
Mm-hmm.
their houses are super warm up north where the mountains and the hot springs are. So I can absolutely see an 8 inch like that people just walk in just like this is nothing. Like it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And even with the 6-inch block, man, the numbers are crazy. Just for, you know, our values and our U values, you know, they're pretty off the chart. And that's not only because you're using that thick polyurethane foam insulation. You also have the let me say this right. Basically the thermal mass and the retention of the wood itself.
Yeah,
If you compare it
it
to
keeps the heat.
drywall, it's gonna hold heat a lot better, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
than drywall or siding, something like that. So, you know, the cold and the hot takes a lot longer to pass through the wall. So
Yeah, and again, even in Japan, all their showers are wooden just because that wood holds that heat from like each shower. It's like, okay, I'm good till the next time.
exactly. Yep, you got it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is in game for y'all? Like where do y'all want to take this? Are y'all just wanting to like, oh, we can do 4 or 5 projects with like 2 or 3 teams a piece, or are y'all looking to like just completely change the entire housing market?
Well, I'm going to have to say, you know, a lot more towards the second answer because, you know, at the end of the day, we are building houses right now, but the reason is because we have to basically feature our own product. The end goal is just to be a material distributor. You know, Lincoln Block being our main product, but that doesn't mean, you know, we won't be distributing everything else that needs to go with the house, such as plywood and we do, you know, stick frame on our interior walls, so, you know, still studs and all your conventional, you know, construction lumber. So yeah, really the end game is to, you know, really have an impact on the building industry because right now you kind of have this applicator's style of building, you know, where you have your framer come in and then you have your electrician come in, you know, you have your insulation guys, your drywall guys come in, your siders come in. We want to simplify that so there's not as many steps and you know, being today that there's not the amount of craftsmen, I guess you would call them, you know, people that really know every step start to
Yeah,
finish. Because you
there's
got to
not.
remember, you know, back in the 30s and 40s, Sears was literally shipping out, you know, housing packages for people to just put together themselves. And this is using conventional methods like brick, stick framing, stuff like that. But they were able to do that because there was a lot higher level of education as a whole in the country. So
Yeah.
we're kind of trying to do that over again, but we realize that there's definitely been a dumbing down of, you know, just knowledge around building. So we kind of think that, you know, if we dumb down the process and you know, provide enough education for people to catch on to what this is, then, you know, it's going to be back to where you're putting the hands back or the opportunity back in the hands of the people to really, you know, create their American dream.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even with like starting out how like starter houses, there are a lot of younger couples, like a lot of them just in all honesty, like even myself before getting married and even kind of now, just like as long as the house is livable, I really don't like it doesn't really like I really don't want this 200 $100,000 like big house. Like I mean, it really doesn't affect me that much. And like
Mhm.
even like around here, because we're in southern Alabama, And again, this is not a knock whatsoever. It's actually like I'm kind of impressed by the ingenuity because, I mean, I'm sure it's survivable. Like you've even seen a lot of people take like these sheds with like porches or whatever and converting those into houses. Like I know I saw somebody, there was like a two-story shed at Lowe's where they converted that to a house. And I mean, the building material is definitely not like it's definitely subpar, but I mean, it's getting them to what they want. Because I mean, even like homelessness, like I even know like Los Angeles right now, and especially with the rent moratorium ending, that could easily end up just decimating home availability, people's ability to rent houses, and not like they'd be able to afford $75,000 for a however big that package was that you provided. But I mean, a 10 by 10, I mean, that's better than nothing, and surely that doesn't cost that much either, or at least you could put it on a payment plan because Italy, there's a video I saw, it's like a mile worth of tents. Los Angeles, I mean, it's always been Los Angeles, but I mean, it could get worse. But,
oh yeah, I mean, we're up in here in Seattle, and it's pretty bad even here too.
Oh wow, yeah, no, I forgot. No, Seattle is it's not no joke either.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, you know, being across the country, you guys have a little bit different housing market, but over here it's ridiculous. You know, your starter home, you know, it's going to be, you know, around 2,000 to 2,500 square feet, but they're not using any special material. They're still using sticks and OSB, and people are paying, you know, 500,000. I think the average price of a house in our county is like around $580,000. So, you know, people are getting into these houses and they're basically, you know, purchasing a payment. They're not really purchasing a real house because at the end of the day, that house isn't even designed to last as long as the payment does.
No. And I remember I was it Seattle that had that giant like snow hurricane over it yet last year or the year before?
Yeah, a few years ago we got a decent amount of snow. Yeah, so I mean, you don't want to be living outside, and you want to make sure if you are living inside that your house is going to be able to handle that weather.
Yeah, because I remember where a guy like took a video. You know, it wasn't on TikTok; it was on Facebook. So I think it was like 2018. I remember there was like this giant cyclone of snow just like swirling above somewhere over in that area, and the guy actually is like puts his phone towards his baseboard, and you could literally see the ice creeping up from like the gap that I assume was there, and just the underperforming of the quality of the building material that was used, where like the ice was sneaking up. I think it was like maybe 3 inches of just like icicles, just not icicles, but frosting just crawling up his wall.
Yeah, no, it gets ridiculous, man. And you know, another thing that I want to add with what we're doing and trying to really, you know, educate people to how a building works is, you know, people will get into these houses and have no idea how to maintain them. You know, they'll a problem will arise and they have no idea what's going on. They're just going to call a professional and see what they can do. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you knew more about your house, you wouldn't have even fallen for the trap of buying, you know, a piece of crap home in the first place. So, you know, just trying to really, you know, promote that knowledge of, you know, you're building something that you're going to live in, you know, and if it's really your dream home at the end of the day, you want to make sure that it's going to last, you know, your lifetime and your kids' lifetimes and hopefully even your grandkids' lifetime.
Oh yeah, no, especially with these McDonald mansions or these McMansions. Like I remember there was like this I think it was a farm field that was converted into a suburban area, and the guy drives through and literally like you just see these 2x4 skeletons and OSB, and he's like, every single one of these houses are going to be 300,000 or more. And I'm like, I mean, even my house, like built by people, like I mean, not put up in like a 2 or 3 months or like, and it has add-ons, but like it's thick wood. Like there's like thick wood that they shiplapped or like kind of like folded over and like just like kind of folded over like that. And I mean, even this house does all right. Like, I mean, there might be some like, I think they might have redone the outside wall maybe 20, 30 years ago. So you've got probably fiberglass or whatever they used back then for the insulation, and it's probably old and dilapidated and maybe some water damage from a leak or two that may have happened. But I mean, still, this holds heat a lot better than like newer houses I walk in, like their air conditioning's just busting through the electricity, and we're pretty good over here. So that just goes to show that like that solid material that's like actually like purposed for a house that's going to stay here as a part to one of these like plastic covered OSB McMansions.
Exactly. We really don't build houses like we used to. And, you're going to see a lot more solid buildings over there where you're at, just because, the development of our country. Obviously, we started from the East Coast and moved west. And, I mean, shoot, when I was younger, my hometown was a lot smaller than it is now, with all the developments going in and all these houses being thrown up. They're really just in it for the money, so they're doing it as fast as they can do it, using the cheapest materials and using a floor plan that's going to be the most efficient, for their price per square foot. So I'll give you an example. Like when John's daughter was buying her house, he obviously is very knowledgeable in the quality of a house and how much thought and effort was gone into the construction of it. He went under her house and he took a look under there, and right when he saw Doug fir joists and plywood on the floor, he was like, you need to buy this right now, because this is going to be the best house on this neighborhood. It wasn't really necessarily built earlier, but it was built by a craftsman that really cared about what he was doing. And he's one of those guys that probably does 1 to 2, maybe 3 houses a year, but he just loves it so much that he can't stop, and he wants to be proud when he stands back and looks at his final project. But when you're looking at developments like DR Horton's a really big one. They just want to get the houses up and people in them and sign that loan. That's really the end goal, is just to get them to sign that loan, because once the house is up and built, they made their money.
Oh yeah, no. And even right now, like I even know, like even with like all these loans and everything, like it's probably just going to get worse, because like a lot of the Treasury Department's been announcing that they're not going to mess with inflation, and they're going to keep the rates on loans super low with the virus and everything. So, I mean, if anything, that's just going to cause them to just throw up as many houses, because to my knowledge, all the houses that have been put up on the market have been going for like 10% over normal market value, just because so many people are either hanging on to their houses, or people have so much cheap money that they're just throwing prices and trying to outbid each other. So, I mean, you could even argue that somebody would just take advantage of that and just throw up McMansion neighborhood over McMansion neighborhood.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's really what's going on up here. Yeah, it's kind of sad to see, man, just the people not knowing what they're really getting themselves into. These companies, they don't care about who's really living in these homes or what their lifestyle is going to be, their quality of life when they're in it. They just want to see that money on the back end. So it's just you have this shortage in housing right now that's allowing people to do this. As a nation, we're so far behind in housing that they're able to keep this balloon in the market, and people think that it's going to stay like this forever, because if you have a house right now, you could sell it in less than a month. And if you want a house, you got to get in there fast and just basically sign any loan you can get before it's gone off the market. Because I mean, I have a bunch of buddies that are active real estate agents, and they're turning over houses in a couple weeks, which is crazy. Usually
killing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And yeah, if you're a real estate agent in the market right now, I mean, good for you, because that's just, I mean, you're going to be making, and not that it's a good thing at the same time. And I think, that's kind of the reason I kind of strayed away from it, because I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this to where, I'm not really helping people find a home, and that's really the image that any agent puts out there. It's like, oh, we're going to help you find your home. Well, when I found this, I was like, dude, screw real estate. I think I can actually help people, build their future with this product.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, and that's a lot. That's the case in a lot of these, like, not necessarily get rich quick, because a lot of them, some people just either don't have the right personality or the live in
Mhm.
the right location. But
Mhm.
especially with real estate, like, you can make a killing, but then at the same time, kind of like a car salesman too. It's like, if you just turn that morality dial down just a tickle, you can really cash in. Like, you can
Yeah.
really name and make some money for yourself.
Yeah, and it's being promoted nowadays like it's the thing to do and it's the right thing to do and it doesn't hurt people, but it really does hurt people at the end of the day, you know. So, yeah, like I said earlier, when I found this, man, I was like, I love this because I can be genuine in this. I'm not lying to somebody when I tell them, look, we're really going to help you build your dream home and give you something that's going to last you a long time and something that you're going to love and be proud of, especially if you're involved in the building process of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, uh, final question. So, what do you think? Um, in your opinion, what would really take? What's it going to take for y'all to get y'all to where y'all need to be? I know you said you had a Kickstarter, but besides that, and I'm sure even now with the Kickstarter that y'all have a lot of people coming up to y'all asking, "Hey, this is kind of cool. Maybe I'll be like, it looks good to me, and I'd love to be part of something like a new company." But besides the people who have already ordered and built houses, you said you wanted to, like, really revolutionize the small home do-it-yourself building market. What is it going to take to get y'all guys there? What are y'all looking for exactly?
Well, the one answer to that question would be, just financing, however we get it. We obviously want to make sure that we, maintain control in the company. But,
Absolutely.
my other answer to that, and honestly, I think this is really all it comes down to is time, because now that we've come out to the public and people see what this is, and if we can really relay our mission of, hey, we're trying to make America better. We want to help you with your American dream. This is not, us trying to make money. A lot of our past, I mean, not a lot of them, every single one of our past projects, we've taken the money not for ourselves, but to put back into the company because we're so,
Yeah.
passionate about getting this out there. So, I think time is really the only thing because people know about this now. Like just like our response on TikTok, I mean,
Oh,
getting that many followers, just blowing up like that when people really realize what it is. And the thing is, people really have a surface level understanding of really the true potential. And I say that from, the end user to say a contractor, if you were to teach yourself or not teach yourself, but, learn through us how to do this, you're one of the first people in the industry doing this, and you have the knowledge to go out there. And if you wanted to contract and build these homes, you could do that. So really, if to fast track this, we're going to be, number one, looking for different investor deals that make sense to us that we can do to kind of help us along the way. And then, just telling the people like, hey, if you guys want it, it's here. You can have it. We just need to keep bringing awareness. Like the Kickstarter is a great thing just because we can kind of, anybody that truly believes in what we're doing, they can invest and try to, help us get somewhere. But yeah, man, really at the end of the day, as long as we keep pushing and more people keep, gaining understanding of what this is and the opportunity attached with it, I think it's kind of inevitable, especially at this point. Like we are backed up so far in inquiry and stuff like that for our product. And you go to investor with that, the right guy is going to say, I'm not passing up this opportunity because you guys have already proven your method. And I think that we've done that, really well through the past 3 years. So yeah, it's really just it's up to time and how much people can really help us get this out there. So yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on. Hey, man, just tell everybody how to get a hold of y'all, just all your social links and everything, and then just let them know how they can reach you.
For sure. So we have a couple ways you can get a hold of us. Probably your best resource is going to be LinclonBlock.com. We have a link to our Kickstarter in there, so you can find the Kickstarter really easy. We're on pretty much every single social media platform. Who knows how long that's going to last, but we got YouTube, we got Facebook, we got Twitter, we got Instagram. So any of those platforms. There's also a contact tab on our website. So if you're looking for, to call into the office and maybe consult with somebody and maybe you got a blueprint or a plan that you want to run by us and see what we can do, go ahead and look at that. But yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think if I left anything out. I'm pretty sure that's everything.
And your TikTok.
Oh, exactly. Thank you. Our TikTok too. So our TikTok is just Lincoln_block. I guess I'll read out the names too. So we got so TikTok is Lincoln_block. Our Instagram is going to be LinclonBlock Inc. And then our Facebook is simply just LinclonBlock. What else? Twitter is also LinclonBlock Inc. And did I leave something out? YouTube is going to be also LinclonBlock with a space in between.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Again, guys, everybody, thank you so much. Be sure you go to their social media sites, support them, and don't forget to like and subscribe this video and channel as well. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on and speaking to me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It was a pleasure.
All right. See you, everybody.